Hey everyone, welcome back to Miniature Painting 101, a series of videos where we teach you all about painting miniatures from start to finish and everything in between. And this part is 117. How to use a glaze medium to produce shades. Basically, you can combine glaze mediums with any acrylic paint and create shades for your miniatures. So today we'll be taking some colors and shading in this this Grey Knight. It's an old Grey Knight, Space Marine basically. He got airbrushed with some Vallejo paint, and this is a great example because it's great to use the glaze medium to do shading just along the edges. So as I said, today we'll be using the glaze medium as last week. Basically, it is a medium that promotes a glaze, obviously, so a transparency within the paint, and it's actually great for using as a shade. So I'll start by just mixing the color I want, and that's the beauty of using a glaze medium. So I'll be using a 3-to-1 mix of Cantor Blue and Abaddon Black, and that's a great thing, as I said, because now you can custom mix your own shades and use a glaze medium to shade your miniatures as opposed to being forced to use the conventional ones. And as it has a matte finish, it actually is a really nice finish to it, and it works really well when you're applying it along the edges and the recesses of a miniature. So now I'm just getting it nice and mixed up. I just added a drop of acrylic medium, of Lamium medium, and then now I'm going to add several drops, well, 4 or 5, of glaze medium. It's going to be basically a 1-to-1 mix of paint to glaze medium. You really want it to be nice and transparent for this, so now I'm going to give it a good mix, and as you can see, it reacts to it quite nicely. And as I said, it creates a transparency, a glaze, if you will, of course, because it's a glaze medium. And so I'm just giving it a nice solid mix in my palette. This is a wet palette. Of course, the other paint is dry currently on it. So now I'll just take a really nice fine brush and apply it to all the recesses of the miniature. I could just apply it over the entire paint job, but it works really well if you just apply it directly into the recesses and the crevices of your miniature, as opposed to just over the entire part. Then you can dry, as I said, I've done it with both, and then I can just dry brush over it, for example. But I prefer just to do like a post shading approach and apply it directly into the recesses and the crevices of the miniature. But as you can see, it has great surface tension. It's very much equal to almost the Citadel shades or the P3 washes, and it just goes really nicely into those crevices, and what we'll end up doing is tinting the recesses and really bring out the detail in them. And as I said, that's the beauty part about using a glaze medium, is that I didn't have to use Drakenhof Nightshade or non-oil. I could have mixed them in a proportion that might produce a similar color, but right now I have full control over not only the consistency of this shade or wash, I also have complete control over the color by mixing Cantor Blue and Abaddon Black. It's one of the beauties of using acrylic mediums in your palette and with your other colors. So it's going to continue to go along the edges and shade this miniature accordingly. As I said, the reason why I'm taking this approach is because it was already, painted up a certain way with an airbrush, and I'm just doing essentially a post shading approach. I could have done the same thing if I was doing it with a hand brush as well. And now I'm just going to shade the body of it and keep going along the miniature. That's the key. I recommend always about a 1-to-1 mix of glaze medium to paint. That way you get a really nice thin consistency, but as you can see, it's going in quite nicely. It's a great surface tension and will dry with a matte finish, which is a really nice benefit of a glaze medium. Now, as you can see in the end, there's a lot of definition in the areas that we added the glaze medium combination of paint. Now it's shaded, and what it ends up doing is actually cools down a lot of the metallics around it, so you can clearly see a bit of the shading. And if you put too much, you can easily just wipe off the excess with a brush or your finger. You see, now it has clearly been shaded and has some great definition due to the use of a glaze medium. So in this case, I used a little bit less acrylic medium. I just added a tiny drop of it, but it's basically a 1-to-1 mix of glaze medium to paint to produce any shade that you really desire, using Citadel paints, of course. Feel free to adjust the recipe accordingly based on what paint you're using. And that's it.
So thank you as always for watching this episode of Miniature Painting 101. I really hope you enjoyed it and learned a bit about using glaze mediums. And as always, stay tuned for next week's episode, part 118, which is just around the corner. But if you don't want to wait for next week, check out The Warp. Click on the link below for a free 14-day trial to my premium YouTube channel. We're not going to get to the next 6 months worth of Miniature Painting 101 episodes for anyone else. We get to see over dozens upon dozens of painting tutorials, battle reports, face-off episodes, an Airbrush 101 series, and a Q&J series. Just tons of working and content that I know you love, so stay tuned for more episodes of Miniature Painting 101. Thank you as always. Until next time, this is Jay saying, happy painting, everyone.